Hi, I'm Stephana Johnson, and I am so excited to have Rama with me today on Simplifying the Holidays. This is about really connecting with your truth and getting to a place where it's not just about the holidays, but it's about your everyday life. And that's why Rama's here to talk about what she does with regards to creating systems and implementing a lifestyle that actually enhances your joy and your happiness. So who better to talk about that than Rama? So welcome, Rama. I'm excited to have
Hi,
you.
Stefan. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah. So let's just go right to it. You are the
Okay.
systems queen.
Yes, I have been called that. I will say that, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a success coach and trainer. And so the way I help my clients is with the power of systems, but also engaging in purposeful play. And
Mm.
so it's a fun way to do things, but that's what it's about. It's like using play, using fun, creativity to actually find where you can actually play a better game. At any point in time, we're playing lots of games. There's the parenting game, there's the business game, there's the holiday game, there's, different games. And it's just a case of defining them in such a way that you can be successful. And a lot of people don't actually define their own success. Like success to a lot of people just means money.
Hmm.
And there's so much, so many broader ways that you can define success. And so once you pick success, that definition for yourself, then you can design a game around that. So it's like, okay, so what would it look like for me winning at the parenting game?
Yeah.
And okay, so maybe that looks like for me, one of the things in my family that we do, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, is Friday night is movie night. And so, I do whatever I'm doing, I'm finished by a certain time of day, and then Friday evening we spend together watching a movie. And it's great because we can talk about that all week. What movie we're going to watch this week? What's Daddy going to have through? It's going to come through the door with Netflix. And it's like, is this the movie that we're going to watch on Friday? We build excitement and make it more fun.
Nice.
So there's lots of other things, but that's just like one of the examples. It's like that's kind of sacred. It's like I find it very, very difficult to say yes to do anything else because that's that's time with my daughter. And
Hmm.
so for me, it feels successful in the parenting game. That's one of my things is to actually, have movie night on Friday night with my daughter. And so it's
Nice.
whatever success looks like for you in your business in different ways. And
Hmm.
so there's systems systems is like just something that I do. It's like you've got to know where you are now and where you're going. And then there's an art and science that dictates the step by step process that you're going to go through to get there.
Hmm.
So the way I describe it to people, it's like if you were starting in LA and you wanted to get to New York, right? You could steer by the sun, and kind of figure out that way's east and just sort of keep going. And then when you hit the coast, just kind of go, okay, do I need to go north or south now? But it's not a very elegant way to do it. And so
Right.
what you would do these days is have a GPS. You don't need to know the steps in between because you can rely on the GPS because the GPS will have those steps for you. And so all you need to do is get in and trust that. And so I think of myself in my clients' lives a lot of the time as the GPS. So I
Nice.
get them where they're going elegantly, and they don't have to think about every nitty gritty thing. They just know there's going to be they're going to be told what to do, and a lot of that we co-create along the way. It's like okay, so do you want to take the north route or do you want to take the south route?
Hmm.
So there's choices and options, but within that, okay, so once we pick this way or this way, what are the things we're looking for to make that fun along the way? And so that's where
Nice.
the game design piece comes in. So it's like, how are we being a good parent as we're doing this? How are we also being successful in business? What are the outcomes that we've defined for ourselves that we're working towards? What are the actions we're taking every week, so that we can consistently build into the results that we're looking for?
Very good.
So in the same way with the holidays, it's a little different, but you've got to decide what you want that to look like. And I think that's a lot of the things that people don't always do. They don't take the time to just say, it's just like that frenzy. I've got to have an amazing dinner on the table. I've got 10 people coming around for dinner, and that's it.
Mm.
Whereas if you start 3 weeks, it's like 3 weeks away from Thanksgiving at the moment. I'm starting with sort of going, who is going to be at my Thanksgiving table? I think I know, but I'll confirm. And what might they want to do with that day? And how can I make it an enjoyable day for them and for me? What preparation can I do ahead of time so that the day itself is not crazy and so we can all enjoy ourselves? And so it's that same thing. It's like you've got to have a vision, an idea in your mind of what you want that Thanksgiving, for example, that day to look like.
Nice.
So that's where
Okay.
I sort of start from.
Great. Tell us about then moving into the picture just of let's take it even further with regards to the picture of the holidays of travel and bringing that in, because you're talking about the analogy of your destination using the GPS, but let's talk about the reality of traveling from one place to another, and within that model, actually navigating the things that do come in with others' intentions. So how do you address that? You being a mom, we know that children have other intentions. Our spouse, partners have other intentions. Our partners, yeah.
I think it's about building that vision with the other people that you're going to be connecting with on that day. So for me, it's like I asked my husband, okay, what's going to make it a great Thanksgiving to you? You know, my brother's coming over with his family. It's like, okay, what's going to make it a good Thanksgiving for you? So is there a particular dish that would make Thanksgiving complete for you? You know, so you're including them and what it is that they want. Like my husband, for example, is he likes to bake. And he doesn't really bake all year, but for Thanksgiving, he likes to bake a pie. And so I just need to allow space in my day so that at some point he can make a pie. And that's, you know, he's a Broadway guy. And so, you know, Thanksgiving's always on a Thursday. There's always 2 shows on a Wednesday. So it's not anything that he can do ahead of time. You know, it's always going to be Thursday morning. Thursday morning, he's going to want to make pie when I'm trying to figure out which vegetables and which turkey and which hours and, you know, what's going to happen. And now, the first couple of years, it was crazy. I'm like, you want to make pie now? Couldn't we made pie yesterday? And now it's kind of like, well, okay, now I know. This is what it's going to be like. And so what can I do to make sure that he has, you know, the space and the time to do the things that he also wants to do to make Thanksgiving special for him?
Yes. And so I heard you say 2 key things: predictability and rhythm to create that ritual. So what would you suggest in how we can use this as a system without becoming stale and stagnant in that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's just a case of, you know, you never know exactly who you're going to have at Thanksgiving. It's not usually always the same people. There's other people. And then making sure that they're engaged in that is like, okay, so what does Thanksgiving mean to you? And what would make it complete or what would make it special? And so, like, say, you know, he's not going to make the same pie, but it is just one of those things that he likes to do. So I don't make dessert because I know he's going to do that. You know, and he likes to come up with whatever it is. And I ask him if he needs any help. Do you need, you know, recipes or, you know, a recipe site, or is there something you have in mind? You know, but we start that conversation early. So we actually get to have the fun and the anticipation of it as well. It's not just, you know, the craziness. Nice. And I think it really helps to start early, just to have that, you know, what could it look like? Will it be apple? Will it be berry? Will it be both? You know, or whatever that happens to be. Yes. And just like laughing about it and joking about it, and including my daughter, you know, she might want a marshmallow pie because she's 4, you know, and it's like, well, that's not going to happen. But, you know, what kind of pie could it be? And just engaging people in that conversation. I think it helps to really just start early and make it fun in whatever way that you can do that.
Yes. Would you recommend actually documenting your process?
I kind of do.
Successful? So how do you do that?
So every year, because I'm a planner, and that is just, you know, part of who I am. So 2 weeks ahead, I start with the timeline. And I think I looked at places online initially that it's like, okay, you know, what do you do that's a Thanksgiving countdown type of thing, but in a fun way. And so I've taken pieces from different places and kind of put together my own, from simple things that I wouldn't have thought of, you know, necessarily a few years ago. Like if I'm having guests in my house, it's nice to make sure that there's TP in all the bathrooms, right? And you don't want to be doing that on Thanksgiving morning.
Right.
You know, so a couple of days ahead of time, it's a good idea just to, you know, make sure that there's spare supplies around the place. Now, it's not a huge thing, but it's the little things I think that you can do ahead of time.
It could be a huge thing.
But it's exactly.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's the small things that you can do ahead of time just to take those things off your, you know, off your mind and off your plate for the actual day, so you can enjoy it. I mean, one of the things that I do is like, I know, you know, what the food is that I'm going to have, and I lay the table the day before and get the serving dishes out and put a Post-it note on each one for what food is going to go in it.
Okay, nice.
You know, and so then somebody else on the day, I can say, oh, I need the bowl for the carrots or whatever it is, and somebody can go and get the right one and bring it to me.
Okay.
You know, so I don't have to do everything. Other people are involved, but it helps to you've got to make it easy for them to help you.
And when you are making it easy for them to help you, what would you suggest as far as, do you send them a list? Do you send them an email note to follow up? Remember this, or remember, how much is going too far to bring down the
Right.
complications?
Yeah, I think it's about making it fun. So if your guests are people who want to bring a particular dish, then that's great, and you just check in with them, a couple of days beforehand. Oh, and you said you were bringing this. Is that still on? Is everything still good for that? Yes. Things change, things happen. People have kids. Let's face it, anything could happen. On the way to Thanksgiving dinner. So it's all good. But I think there's somewhere in between that you can just check in with people a couple of days beforehand to say, is that still okay? And if it is great, then you know that's going to happen. And if not, then what's your plan B? And I
Okay.
usually have, it's like, okay, I can pull out another side dish, or it's not like the turkey's going to be missing because that's something I'll be making anyway.
Right. So we're both moms and we're
Yes.
both women business owners. I would like to transition a little bit into how you negotiate your business life along the time of the holiday season. And you had mentioned a little bit earlier that you don't really do anything too different with regards to your business. So I'd love to see how you lay out your schedule and create systems so that your holiday office, you don't shut down like it would seem some do.
Well, I do take Thursday and Friday off completely. And so I book, everything I need to ahead of that. Oh, do we have a little, hi? I have a little visitor who's popped in.
Wonderful.
So, Mommy's busy right now, sweetheart. Can I talk to you later? Okay, go, go, go. I'm videoing, sweetheart. I'll talk to you later. Go see daddy. Go see daddy. Okay, not right now. Go sit on the couch. Okay, I'm sorry. There's going to be some editing, right?
Oh no, there's actually I'm not editing.
Well,
This is about reality, and this
this
is
is
how
true.
we do things because
Okay.
sometimes I'll just pop my little one on the lap because
Yep.
they need that nourishment, and
Sure.
really it's my priority. It's why I work at home. It's why I do what I do so that I
Absolutely.
can have my connection with my children.
Absolutely. Me
Yeah.
too. Okay, you can take that over there if you like. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And I think you have to have that because it is part of the reason that I'm at home. Um, it's all good. I don't have a door on my office. I'm in the basement, and she was napping, and she's up early, and these things happen. And it's just one of those things. It's like this is exciting and different for her now. It's like, oh, who's this mommy's talking to? So now she's all excited and engaged. This is Miss Stephana. You want to say hi?
Hi.
This is Mackenzie.
Hi, Mackenzie.
Want to say hi? Okay. Mommy needs to do this right now, sweetheart. Okay? Go, go, go. Go, go, go. She's going to stand there and pay attention.
How do you
But I think
juggle that? How do you juggle that? Because there are times when it is vital that we have, let's say for example, so I do a lot of intuitive work, and when I'm in a session, I'm connected with my client, and I cannot have my child come in. It sounded like your husband is there, but what other things do you do or you create for your systems in your business
yeah,
for that?
I usually try and schedule it in certain ways. I guess today's a little bit different because I usually have her on a Friday afternoon, and so that's okay. My husband knows that she's around, and it's all good. But usually, the client time, she knows if I've got my headphones on, she's usually come in, she'll usually wave and go away again. I think the video thing is a little different for her. She knows there's somebody else here, but that's usually what happens. So it's usually certain hours of the day that I do things. With clients, and then certain hours of the day that I try and do other work that is more flexible. Yeah.
And
And so
that's
I can
just
understand with the intuitive piece, you really do need to be tuned in. And it's the same when I'm, with my clients. It's like I really want to be focused on them and what's going on.
right.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. So you mentioned the systems now. I would like to get back into really if you don't mind, pulling it down to, so you were talking about the creativity and balancing creativity, but putting in the systems that allow for that creativity. Can you talk a little bit more about that as far as in simplifying? So the whole
Yes.
theme is simplifying the holidays, but specifically around business and how we can make sure our bottom line does not drop out.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really a case of defining your outcomes ahead of time. So
Okay.
what is your desired outcome? What is it you're looking for? And maybe it's a certain number of clients, maybe it's a certain number of networking meetings, maybe it's sending out, marketing messages consistently, whatever that happens to be. And so you define those things ahead of time and make sure that you're taking the actions every week that will create those results. And so then that's something that you can evaluate every week. Am I taking the actions that is creating those results? And if I'm not, what's getting in my way? What are my challenges? And then you can actually define that in terms of what are the challenges and what do I need to do to handle those specific challenges to get those things out of the way so I can continue taking the actions. And sometimes it's, more childcare. Sometimes it's just, clearer guidelines or boundaries around whatever that looks like. And like I say, today, I think my husband doesn't even know that she's down here probably because he thinks that she's napping probably, and that's okay because today, that's just the way it is.
So during the holidays, you don't necessarily stop any marketing. Do you do specific strategies around the holidays to bring that in to your business?
I think my calendar sort of carries on, except for the days off that I have. I do want to make sure that I'm available, for the Thanksgiving feast that they're going to have at school, for, some of those volunteering type things that I also do. And so there is some of those that do pick up around the holidays, absolutely. And I think it's just a case of scheduling those things and making sure that people know that that's what's going on. And so I definitely take off the Thursday and the Friday. I don't generally take, maybe a little bit of Wednesday morning because I have a thing at my daughter's school. But my clients sort of know that that's going to happen, and so it's all sort of built in.
Okay.
Yeah. So we know ahead of time.
Let's talk about gifts for just a moment, because
Sure.
when we hear about the holidays, there's gifts abound. Whether it's if you're going over to someone's home or that type of thing. What would you consider one of the best ways that you have found to actually simplify that process during the holidays?
That is an interesting question, isn't it? I think there's so much to that one. I think one of the things that my family has done, myself and my siblings, we have a big family. And so one of the things that we've done to simplify gift giving is actually we do a draw every year. And this has been working successfully for the last few years. So you know that you've got one gift of a certain dollar amount that you need to buy, rather than trying to buy an individual gift for each person. And so that actually is something that's really simplified things for us, and it's really helped and worked well, is that, my sister picks out a name in the hat. At the beginning of November, she'll tell us who that person is. And so I have 2 months to connect with them, find out where they're going to be for the holidays, where I have to get that gift to, because we're international, we're all over the place. So you just need to find out where that person's going to be spending the holiday, and then either ask somebody who knows them or whatever to get the information, unless you already have an idea of what you want to get them. But you only got to buy one gift and get it to somewhere. Okay. And you've got 2 months to do it.
Yeah, so that's definitely a great concept around that. Now, I grew up with a different kind of I wouldn't say a belief system, but it was that we gave a gift to the mailman, we gave a gift to the doorman, we gave a gift to the hairdresser, we gave a gift to and so now I kind of have that in me, that I have to give a gift to all my clients, and to the neighbor that I I don't want to say hate, that's a pretty strong word, but that smokes all the time and like, please, can you do it? Or those sorts of things. But during the holidays, that's what comes out in me, is almost this obligatory gift. I have to give gifts. So what's your
I know
take
what
on
you
that?
mean. Yeah, I don't think that I feel that pressure. I think I can see that, my parents used to do the same kind of thing, but, and I lived in New York for a long time. So it's definitely sort of, the doorman type of thing. There are certain things that you just take care of, but, I don't know. It's like it's different now. I just don't feel that obligation in the same way. It's like, I like to do something for the teachers in school because, that's just a nice thing to do. And some of the people that we see, but I think it's more an individual kind of thing now. It's not the have to. It's, who do I want to do this for? And I think that makes a difference, just being more choosy about, and it's not like somebody and not somebody else, or you don't value them or you don't value somebody else. I think it's the obligation piece isn't there so much in the same way that it used to be, maybe when I was less conscious about it. I think now you just think about, how do I want this to be? It's like, and then you choose. It's like, and there's so many options for gifts and things these days too. It's like, a gift card or, something is a nice thing that to receive. But I also like to think of gifts these days in terms of consumables in a way. It's like you want to give somebody something that they can use, and something that isn't going to be sitting on a shelf, or they're going to feel obligated to have sitting on a shelf for the next 20 years because you gave it to them.
Right.
And that never used to, it used to be like, people would give you this tchotchke thing and you'd be like, great, thank you, because you got something, you sort of, But I don't enjoy that piece of it either. It's like, so you want to give somebody something that you know they're going to use and they're going to enjoy. And sometimes that can be, a gift certificate to like the movies and a night out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's much nicer to do things that they can use and that you know that they'll use and enjoy to create an experience rather than a thing. And so I think that seemed to be one of the things over the last few years that I've sort of switched to more towards, what can they do to create an experience rather than, just have a thing.
Mm-hmm. I think
so I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It's fun to look at the heritage and then see how things have shifted, especially when you step into a new frame of how you think. And because I like simplifying and the simplicity, but that doesn't preclude connection with others, right?
Absolutely.
And so the balance of that, I really like how you're describing creating that, knowing where you are,
yes,
and where you want to be.
Exactly.
And that right there allows for the space and the freedom to choose. And
really
I think that's the common theme in simplifying the holidays, is that we do have the power to choose.
Absolutely.
Whether we have forgotten it or whether we have pretended that we don't, that is the ultimate truth, is that we can choose, and knowing where we are and where we want to be is fundamental to being able to choose the best for you, because there's no right or wrong, as you say.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of pressure as well, just to to have the perfect holiday and to be the perfect mom. And
but what some is of the that perfect, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it is. People don't always decide that. They don't choose. They just there's a lot of pressure from a lot of places. There's the media and TV and even social media. It's like people put their perfect social media lives out there. It doesn't mean they don't have bad days or things don't happen, but you only ever see the good stuff that's happening to them over and over. And then you feel like a lot of people, I hear this from a lot of people, that they want to then, well, I have to do this so that I have something to put up on Facebook. And you're like, really? Is that really a reason? Yeah, absolutely.
But I think people feel pressure right here, because you've brought this up, and it's come up in a few different groups that I've been talking with, and on moms groups, and then also my office business party groups, where we're discussing this concept around, well, and because I am into marketing and public relations, visibility is huge. So what are you putting out? Now, if I panned around and showed you my entire home right now, you would see a tent in the middle of the room that it just from today, and like 50 art pieces all over the place, and chaos from one viewpoint, but creativity and freedom in our viewpoint. So
absolutely.
That is a really interesting point that you bring up around what are you going to put out there for your social media and why, and maybe you can talk just a last little moment on that piece, to give folks an idea. What could we do?
Well, I think it's more about, again, choosing what do you want to put out there and how authentic do you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody doesn't have a perfect day every day. That's not reality. And it's up to you for how much of that you want to share with people. It's like, are we okay with having conversations where failure is an option? Because, we're always told failure is not an option. But in that whole place of experimentation and innovation, which as entrepreneurs is exactly what we need to be doing. Right. How can I be more creative and more resourceful about, creating this thing that I want to do, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. And if you're going to do that and play at that in a fun kind of way, you have to have failure built in. Mm-hmm. Because the whole point about experiment, if you get it right every time, you're a robot. That's not playful, right? Mm-hmm. If it's going to be the same, it's like, if somebody's doing a free shot, a free throw, the three-pointer from the line on a basketball, it's like every single time you throw it in and it goes in exactly the same way, you would be a robot. Mm-hmm. The whole point and the fun of it is that you're going to miss some of the times, and what can you do better and what can you learn from that?
Right.
And so a lot of times people don't allow any of that, the real procedure, that actually the steps that you take to get from, A to Z, all of it wasn't perfect. If Edison had stopped the first time he failed to make a light bulb,
exactly,
where would we be?
But do we put that out there to Facebook? because they're not seeing everything we go, or whatever, social media.
Right.
They're not seeing everything that we go to. And what I have found, because last year at this time, I was not on Facebook. I mean, it was just there. And I really didn't utilize it for anything except what I thought would be, just checking in.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I got this need to be out there and promoting and using Facebook. And I didn't actually, I noticed the change. I don't want to be a snob about it, but the truth is people still judge you about a post that you gave 2 weeks ago, and that's like old news.
Absolutely.
So I thought, is that really what I want to do? Is that good for business? Is that good for my own sanity? And I wonder, I know that people need it. I know that people need
Absolutely.
that social media because maybe they're stuck in their house. I don't know if I don't know. Right. I haven't fully figured this whole thing out, but it's clearly a need, and there's almost a desperation for many who have to have that connection with that. And to me, that really adds to complication. And if we can take that time that you're talking about to actually get clear on what it is we want to do, I think it's a lot easier to make those choices. So, Rama, will you just share how people can get a hold of you and where they can go to find out more? I just want to say this. You have an incredibly wonderful free gift, or free, when you type in and say, I'd like this, you have 2 very cool templates. I really appreciate them. So I encourage anyone, if they're interested, it's really an exceptional tool. So please share, just as we're closing, where people can get a hold of you.
Yes, I'm Rama Kalia, and my website is rippleeffectsupport.com. And so it's all about helping people to be creating that ripple in the world, that ripple effect through being successful themselves. And I'm only successful when my clients are successful, so that's kind of where that comes from. But yeah, rippleeffectsupport.com. And yeah, I'm happy to have people sign up and have those two free gifts. There's a content planner for any of the entrepreneurs who are interested in actually doing blog posts and things and actually setting up a quarter's worth of content. And it's about choosing, again, if you pick a theme and then you've put things together with that, you can have a focused kind of presentation and image, and sort of the content that you put out is coherent as opposed to just random stuff that you're putting out. So I've always found that helps.
Rama, it is very helpful. It's actually very, very useful, very applicable. Even in life, I think that if we could look at that and say, oh, well, even our Facebook posts, as people who are going on there, is like, is this the image that we want to create for ourselves? Because we're essentially creating our future.
Absolutely.
Every day, with every thought, with every word, with every action. And Facebook doesn't always catch up with the changes in the internal ahas that we have.
I would say most definitely not.
Right.
It's not up to date at all.
Yeah. So I love this movement towards a more simple, getting back to our truth, getting back to our true choice of what we want to create.
Absolutely.
Talk about the ripple effect.
Absolutely.
That's so beautiful. Rama, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was really fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful holiday yourself.
You too. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Bye now.